And hello, hello, hello. It's another great morning here on Sippin Coffee with Spider. And that's me. It's me, Spider. Your good buddy. You remember me, don't you? How could you forget? So, I still got seasonal allergies going on, so my nose is really just drippy, and I don't know why. Man, it's just like it's the end of season. Allergies should be earlier in the season, and mine show up at the end of the season when the weather changes. So, we're going to try to get through it without making too much of a mess, right? Okay. Okay. Reuters is the first up, and they're paywalled, so I can't tell you what the whole story is, but we'll go through it a little bit anyway. Republican House Speaker McCarthy faces ouster threat for avoiding shutdown. And, I kind of felt like they're looking for any excuse to boot this guy from leadership. I'm not sure how things get to be. I think they picked him because they thought that they'd be able to push him around and get him to do whatever they wanted. And he's trying to keep everything working. And I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy or whatever. I don't follow the politics that closely because I don't like party politics. I don't care. But he's been stepping on too many toes, and they're looking to get rid of him from the speaker position. So we'll see how that goes. There's been talk about that ever since he became speaker, and it hasn't gone through yet. So who knows? We'll find out. WWG says a PlayStation Plus new free game was banned for being too violent. What game was that? It's one of October's free PlayStation Plus games. It has a ton of gore. The Callisto Protocol. Oh, I got that wrong the other day when I was talking about this on another show. I was talking about this game and I called it the Galileo Protocol or something. I don't remember what I called it. The Callisto Protocol is what it is, and it's kind of like Dead Space. And I've seen it and I haven't played it yet. But apparently it was banned in Japan because they refused to censor it. Interesting, very interesting. Associated Press, Disney DeSantis legal fights ratchet up as company demands documents from Florida governor. This is a slugfest, and this is just mud being thrown at each other. DeSantis had an issue with Disney and the way that it was presenting its subject matter. And, Disney's not entirely at fault. They've had some problems with how they've been dealing with some touchy subjects. Disney was like, well, whatever, we're going to do what we want because we can. And so DeSantis said, okay, well, I'm going to start taxing you. And Disney was like, no, you're not. And DeSantis said, yes, I am. And so it's more complicated than that, of course, but that's the gist of it. And yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. Disney's kind of been in the crosshairs for a lot of people for a while now, for various reasons. So we'll see if they get their comeuppance or if they come out victorious. Another one from WWG, Xbox Game Pass no longer adding popular RPG. What is the RPG that they are not adding that they were going to? The game is Octopath Traveler 2, which I have never played. I didn't play the first one. Apparently it's really in-depth. You have multiple branching storylines for multiple branching characters and all this other good stuff. So if you were looking forward to that, going to Game Pass when it releases on Xbox, you're going to be disappointed. Associated Press, California Governor Gavin Newsom will pick Feinstein's replacement. Of course, Dianne Feinstein, I believe she's the senator, wasn't she? Or was she a House representative? I don't remember. She passed away very recently, very suddenly, which is kind of, she was on her way that direction. I don't want to say that in a morbid kind of cold way. I'm just saying that she'd taken a couple falls. Her brain wasn't working very well. As much as people would try to defend it, be like, oh, she's just fine. She was being nudged and guided and kind of cajoled just to do basic things politically, and she wasn't all there anymore. She was on her way out, which is, it's unfortunate for anybody, but whichever. And he'll pick a replacement, and he pledged in the past to choose a black woman. And now he's getting flack whether he picks one or not. And this is a goofy part of this story. He said he's going to pick one as a replacement, but that spot is going to be up for re-election in a short period. So this is just an interim. And so it looks like if he picks somebody of a minority, supposedly, it's going to look like he's pandering just to get somebody there, and then it's anything goes when the election comes around. And if he doesn't, then he's going back on his promise. It's a goofy situation, and it doesn't look like he's going to win either way. And I don't really care for the guy anyway, so it doesn't matter to me if anybody likes him or not. But I don't know. When you say things like that, you're putting your foot in your mouth. When you're pledging to do certain things to appease certain bases, you're going to get in trouble somewhere down the line. Consequence of Sound says Dave Mustaine ejects security guards at Megadeth show, saying, quote, "I hate bullies. What were they doing? And where was this at?" That's interesting. He said, quote, "You guys are punks, and you shouldn't have expletive hit that guy." Ooh, something happened in the crowd. He had a handful of security guards ejected from the band's show on Wednesday night in Bloomington, Illinois, which was September 27th, accusing them of roughing up a fan as the band was playing Symphony of Destruction, which is really one of the best Megadeth songs ever. Toward the end of the set, he stopped the song to address the guard, shouting, "Dudes, don't be expletive hitting people. That is totally uncool. Stop hitting that guy." He ran over to where the skirmish was happening and pointed out the security guards who were involved in the incident. And he said, quote, "I'm not going to play anymore until those guys are escorted out of the building, so just hang on a second." That was so unnecessary. What's on the back of your shirt? Safety? It should say no safety, because you guys are punks and you shouldn't have hit that guy. Huh. Interesting. I kind of wonder if they're going to have a response to that. I'm sure they're going to countersue. Well, they're going to sue, and then he's going to countersue. I'm sure it's going to end up like that. So I'm sure there's something to that. I'd like to find out what. But I don't want to be in on the drama stuff. So Associated Press rejected by U.S. courts. Native American Onondaga Nation takes centuries-old land rights case to international panel. Good luck. If the United States said no, and you live here in the United States, regardless of whether you're a sovereign nation or not, then I doubt other countries are going to make much progress in forcing the United States to do anything. And I'm not saying that as an indictment, saying that, well, screw it, sucks to you guys. I'm just saying that's how the things go. The United States is what it is, and it's not going to let anybody tell it what to do, whether for good or for bad. And I kind of think you are out of luck, which is sad. If you have land rights, you should have them respected, but that's the United States for you. That's what the United States do. Associated Press with more in-depth about this story. I'm not super interested particularly, but if you are, what Dianne Feinstein's death means for control of the Senate. She was a senator. There we go. Couldn't remember which was. And the looming government shutdown. So if you want an analysis of what all that might mean, we'll see how it goes. You're free to go to Associated Press and read up on it. PBS NewsHour says, as retailers close stores due to shoplifting, are the concerns real or overblown? And let me tell you, shoplifting is super, super common. Just because you don't see people stealing, and just because they don't make a big deal about people stealing, doesn't mean people aren't stealing, because people are stealing a lot. When I worked in retail, it was a constant daily struggle to keep people from just five-finger discounting everything that they could. I worked in the electronics department, and around the holidays, we legitimately had somebody make off with a television, a big flat screen TV in the box, because the store, in its infinite wisdom, was understaffed. I was on one side of the department dealing with another customer. I couldn't deal with everybody at once, and so nobody was watching this guy. Nobody could see it. Half the cameras in the store didn't work when they were supposed to, and our person, our loss prevention person, who's basically security, was off that day, and they hadn't scheduled anybody else. We don't have the hours to schedule more loss prevention people, so we just got nobody. So there's a gap, and so this guy, the electronics department, was right near the doors. So he just picks up a box with a TV in it, goes right out the door. I gave chase, but it was too late. He was out in the car and gone. Because I was just finishing up with my customer when I saw him taking it out. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it's too late. This kind of stuff happens all the time. And it wasn't a particularly crime-ridden area. It was getting worse before I left working there. But it's not like certain parts of Chicago or Detroit or New York or something like that. And it happens. Are the concerns real? Probably. Is it overblown? Sometimes, maybe, but I don't know. Does the store need to completely close? If it's that bad, maybe, but I don't know. It's got to be pretty bad. Reuters with a clickbait headline: climate change means New York City's flooding is, quote, new normal, unquote, governor says. Part of that is because you built the city in an area where you're next to a lot of water. It's not you, of course. This city was built decades and decades and hundreds of years ago, right? A couple hundred years ago. Maybe not 200 years ago, because that was the founding of the nation. So probably, I don't know, when New York City proper went up, probably at least 100 years ago, give or take, maybe more. And it's right next to all this water. You got to assume water's going to go up and down, whether it's climate change or not. It's just like New Orleans. New Orleans is built on a floodplain, and so hurricanes come through, batter the whole area constantly. You know that. You know it's going to happen. You let it happen anyway. You don't take appropriate steps to protect the people. So you just assume, oh yeah, we can get through it. We're New York City. We're survivors. I get it, but you can't just blame climate change for all your problems. You can't do that. Associated Press with a cool story from history. Video provides first clear views of World War II aircraft carriers lost in the pivotal Battle of Midway. Midway, Guadalcanal, and I think there was one more. There were three major battles in the Pacific theater that turned the entire war around. Those were two of them, and I don't remember what the third one was. It's not as well known as the other two, but I looked it up when I was a kid. I did a lot of research on it, and because I was big into World War II stuff when I was a kid, and so that's cool. Finding some of this stuff that's been sunk down there for the longest time. Maybe find some artifacts, maybe find some remains that can be interred, and people can have some closure for their relatives or something like that. You know, it's cool stuff. It's historical. NBC Bay Area. Video shows moment food delivery driver shoots YouTuber during prank at Virginia Mall. Oh, come on. No, he probably shouldn't have let it escalate to the point where he was going to shoot somebody. But I do YouTube. You guys know that. But I don't go out. The whole pranking thing, it's bad. These days, people are really super uptight about this kind of stuff. You can't be out pranking random people. You can't prank your people trying to make a living, especially because that's their money on the line. And if they think they're losing their money, they're going to lose their mind. Like, you can't do that. The days of jackass and impractical jokers and that kind of stuff, they're not here anymore, guys. The Borat stuff where he could get away with going out and being weird in public and nobody else being in on the joke. Come on. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. People aren't doing that anymore. They're not doing it anymore. Here's something creepy. The Middletown Press. Bridgeport man who killed and ate another man is released after spending 10 years in psychiatric hospital. Well, I hope that worked out. Because if it didn't, we're, yeesh. Every so often you hear these cannibal stories, and man, it's crazy. The details, like, it really is insane. So hopefully he got the help he needed. I never really know until they've been out a little while. I hope somebody's going to monitor that guy for a while. ABC News, the Senate did pass a stopgap funding bill, and it's good for 45 days. They keep doing this. They keep funding things for 45 days and for 30 days, and then maybe at the most for 1 year. Why can't we do spending for like 5 years? Or for an entire term? You know? Congress is every couple years. President is every 4 years. Why can't we set it on terms and things? Why do we got to do it like every few months? Come on, guys. The whole shutdown thing is so stupid. It's so stupid. It is. Anyway, Reuters with some fire from China. China says United States is the true, quote, empire of lies, unquote. And you know, I don't think China is innocent at all, but they're not wrong here. They're not wrong here. Most of us know that our federal government is adept at not telling the whole truth, or telling half truths and partial truths and clear out not truths. So, you know, I think they're not far from the mark. Although China, again, is not at all innocent. Not even a little. According to Vice, and this is a real kind of touchy thing, people experience, quote, new dimensions of reality, unquote, when dying, groundbreaking study reports. And you know, I that could be possible because as different parts of your brain are misfiring, it's as if you're on psychotropic substances and things. So people who have the near-death experiences, their brain has been kind of like blinking and doing things, because that's what happens when parts of you shut down. Your brain just like kind of stutters and shakes a little bit, and stumbles, and you're bound to have different perceptions while that's going on. Whether they're true or not is a whole other thing. And Vice is not the most trustworthy source for all this kind of stuff, but I'm sure that's an interesting story. If you want to hear what they have to say about it, go ahead and look that up from Vice. From People magazine, in a surprise to no one, Aerosmith postpones farewell tour to 2024 as Steven Tyler fractures larynx in addition to vocal cord injury. This guy just keeps hurting himself. He falls off the stage. He falls at home. I don't know if maybe he's just on a lot of stuff, prescription or otherwise. and he just keeps tripping and things, or if he's like doing things or what. He's done. Like I think they're gonna have to just skip the tour altogether and say we're finished, we're done, and just call it a day. I don't think he's gonna make it. I don't think he's going to make it, folks. I don't. And I hope he takes it easy instead. When you get to their age, these rockers, they gotta stop. They gotta know when to stop. Another one from Reuters: migrants aboard Mexico cargo trains stranded miles from U.S. border. Again, not a surprise. Trying to come up through all those countries, and with Mexico and the United States constantly coming up with new entry and exit and asylum and this and stay here and don't stay there and do this paperwork, don't do that paperwork. You're really you should stay where you are. Okay. I know people are going to be mad. They're going to say, "Oh, everybody has the right to immigrate to a nice place," and they're not immigrating. They're trying to get in here, and they're just looking for asylum. They're not going through the immigration process. They're not trying to come up. They're just trying to get away from where they are as quick as they possibly can, and it's not doing them any favors. It's not doing them any favors. I'm all for people immigrating legally to the United States. I'm 100% going through the process, do the paperwork, come on in, become a citizen, because then you can be taxed like the rest of us. All the other options are open to you, whatever. You're following the rules. Don't do this migrant thing. Don't just try to hop over and expect that everything's going to be rosy for you, because it's not. And I think they're finding that out. NBC Politics: IRS consultant charged with leaking Trump's tax information. Yeah, I bet it's going to be a bit of a sweetheart deal. What are the consequences? They were after those things anyway. They wanted them. They were going to get them. They were going to force, and I bet let's see. Supposedly, this guy stole tax return information linked with a public official and thousands of the nation's wealthiest people. And I bet he's going to get a good deal out of it. I bet he's going to get a good deal out of it. It says he faces up to 5 years in prison if convicted, according to the Justice Department, but I bet there'll be a deal. Because they wanted those. They wanted them so bad, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Hillary's emails didn't matter. Trump's tax returns didn't matter. Obama's birth certificate didn't matter. But people push so hard for these things. They don't matter. Who cares what his taxes are? If it turns out he's a slime ball, it turns out he's a slime ball. Everybody would know that anyway. You know? I mean, what would that matter? What difference would it make, really? Nobody was going to put up with him anyway. They were out to get him from day one anyway. The tax returns were just an excuse. And it's bad optics. Bad optics. Once again. NBC News with something more interesting than all that. The world's oldest shoes, it asks. Sandals found in Bat Cave are thousands of years old, study finds. Ooh. And I bet we were doing this kind of thing for quite a long time. The human species has been around for some time. Some time. So that's interesting. Some history there. I guess in some sort of good news, according to NBC Politics, going back to this same story, GOP senators say they won't stop Democrats from replacing Feinstein on Judiciary Committee. I think that's because they already have a majority on it, so I think they don't care. Like, who cares who they replace her with because they have the majority anyway? So I don't know. I mean, that's kind of a non-story, I guess. But if you are interested, by all means, take a look. ABC News says judge rules school shooter Ethan Crumbley can be sentenced to life without parole. Now, which school shooting was this? It's really kind of terrible that I have to look up which one it is because there have been so many. It's the Oxford High School shooting. So, he was 15 at the time of the shooting, so he can't be convicted. Juveniles convicted of first-degree murder in the state of Michigan cannot automatically be sentenced to life in prison without parole like adults. Prosecutors needed to prove to the judge that life without parole was an appropriate sentence for Crumbley. So whether he will be sentenced that way, that's the thing. He can be. They haven't done it yet. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, my last one, I think. PBS NewsHour. Come on. Ukraine hosts global defense industry forum seeking to ramp up weapons production. I'm so tired of this thing. So tired of it. If they want to keep pushing this hard, everybody says Russia's army's in tatters. Okay, in that case, let the Ukraine have it. Just give it to them. Just be like, here, you take care of it now. Pull your funding. Let Ukraine deal with it. It's their war. But the problem is, it's the United States war. It's not Ukraine's war. It's the United States war because we're the people who maneuvered Russia into doing it with Ukraine in the middle. So we are 100% responsible for it. And that sucks. And I'm going to keep saying that forever. I don't want to be in Ukraine anymore. I'm sick of it. I was sick of it the first day that we started sending things there. But it's our fault. With Russia a close second. They pushed, we pushed, they pushed, we pushed hard. And they couldn't let us get away with it. So, oh well. That's it. That's it. That's all I got. I'm still sniffling from all these allergies. Oh my gosh, there must be just like this last release of pollens and things at the end of the season outside. It's driving me nuts. But anyway, fire up the stove. Get the eggs cooking. Put the toast in the toaster and get the butter ready. Because I like buttered toast and I'm coming to your house for some. Unless you got bagels. You got bagels? I like bagels. Let's have bagels. Come on, you and me.